because
That's
they
wild.
said that she looked like
Oh, what the? Oh my God. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Call Time, a Theater Pod. My name is Marisa Helene Mast, and this is the space where we can talk about it all because every role in theater matters. And this is the space where we can laugh, learn, and sometimes call out the chaos. So sign in on the sheet, because it's call time. Okie dokie, my guest today is a remarkable human. I would love to introduce to you Dani Wright. Hey there, Dani!
Hey, it's me, Dani!
Oh my gosh, it's Dani!
It's me, Dani!
So glad to have you here today. I think this is going to be one hell of a ride, and I'm excited to have you here for it.
Strap in and strap on, baby.
Woo! Speaking of which, here's what's going to be coming up on today's show.
You know what I mean? To me,
Yeah.
It's like the intersectionality of a social worker and an intimacy director.
Ooh, okay. If you're going to cast the same people, do not call yourself a theater company.
Were they also combative to the student? Because they saw something about themselves in the student that triggered them. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Wasn't that great?
Oh my God, I live.
I live.
Yes, please.
So, Dani, I got a question for you. In my heart of hearts, I truly believe that there is good theater cringe and bad theater cringe, and I would love to know what you would put in those categories.
Well, yesterday I ended up teaching a music theater audition class to teens and got some bad theater cringe. Because one of these sweet humans, they brought in Good Morning Baltimore and they sang the crap out of it. But they are also not even a mid-size human. Like the thinnest human of humans. And I just don't understand how teachers are still assigning that repertoire. Because, like, they said that it was given to them by their teacher. And so then it was hard for both of us because I also have ethics and I had to say, listen, you sing this so incredibly well. You learned so much about your technique by working on this. I'm sure, I can tell. But unfortunately, this is not for you. This is one of the 2, maybe 3 intentional roles written for plus-size humans, and the rest of the canon is available to you. So let's find you something better and something different. So that really makes me cringe that that's still happening.
Yeah.
Good theater cringe is watching all of these amazing drag performers in incredible roles all over the country, because they're finally starting to realize that is who, like, the stunt casting they're doing, they're really just bringing in talented people who should have been in roles on Broadway in the first place. But because of our problem with casting inclusion, they haven't. And so these people had to find other avenues to gain notoriety, get seen. And, you know, that RuPaul was at O'Mary to see Jinx. Like, that's huge. Like, when has RuPaul gone to see a show intentionally that we would all know about it, right?
Never.
Like, it's the first time. Right, exactly. Never, darling. And so, like that can happen, and that, like, Bob the drag queen had literally moved to New York years ago to pursue Broadway, never got cast, never got, like, had the hardest time getting seen, and is now doing Harold Ziegler in Moulin Rouge starting in January. I'm so excited. So to me, that's great theater cringe, and I don't care if people think it's stunt casting, because I live, and I'm so grateful that these people are getting the eyes on them that they deserve.
Yes, absolutely. So funny you say that too, because I recently heard this story about Ginger Minge, who I got to meet once at BroadwayCon of all places, and was lovely, lovely, lovely. They're awesome. But they told this story about how they once filled in for a role last minute for Sweeney Todd, played Mrs. Lovett.
Mrs. Lovett,
Yeah,
yes.
and how like they had to get permission from the estate because there was a rule about a drag performer not being able to play any of the roles, which I have my own thoughts and feelings about certain rules when it comes to, I mean, don't even get me started on, the rules for Godot. But going back to going back to this, my favorite thing ever is that they had to record all of the different performances of Ginger playing the role and sent it to Steven, and Steven was like, yes please. Yes.
Very quickly.
Yes.
Very quickly. The response came in very quickly.
Which says so much.
I mean, Ginger, I could talk about Ginger forever.
Yeah.
Like, one of the greatest live performers I've ever seen.
Oh, yeah.
I saw her closing performance of La Cage in Chicago. And I was lucky enough, my best friend took me for my birthday. We sat, it was, very intimate cabaret, and we were, on the floor, on, little cabaret tables. I just was, sobbing, and I was trying to keep it together because I didn't want to distract anybody. But it was just so incredibly. She is just a consummate professional and a stunning artist. And we were just talking about Hocus Pocus Live. She and her collaborator wrote it. They wrote the whole thing. Good. She just. There's no. It's just flawless. Truly. And you feel so safe in her hands, right? Because she's just this amazing professional. Just stunning. I can't talk about it enough.
Shout out to Ginger Binge.
That's right.
And shout out to all the drag performers who are currently getting themselves seen out there. Bob, Jinx, everybody. I want them to have their moments. I'm saying moments.
So Let's many, every moment.
But thank you so much for sharing all of that. Yes, these are very good examples of good and bad theater cringe. So, to switch gears a little bit. Our topic today is, I'm calling it dynamics in theater spaces. Specifically, we're going to be talking about the dynamics of people in authority roles in theater spaces and everybody else. Because, it's it's a never-ending cycle of wanting change, wishing to see change. Are we getting the change? I don't know. So, I'm sure you've noticed this, Dani, that there has been an increasing number of stories coming out about, people calling out artistic directors, specifically for, inappropriate conduct, racism, sexism, genderphobia, all this in specifically casting decisions, and just overall vibes of an environment for their theater companies that some are very well known and some are very, very small, but they matter just as much. So
for sure.
What do you believe is the common factor or the shared trait amongst these leaders or the companies themselves in their decisions to be like this in a supposedly very welcoming art space?
Where do I begin? To me, the bottom line is corporate America, right? In the 80s, you can see the etymology of how it happened, right? 60s, 70s, 80s, everybody is working very artistically driven. Artists are still in power positions when it comes to direction, when it comes to programming, when it comes to casting. And so it was reflected, their communities were reflected when we went to the theater. And then in the 80s, when corporate America really took over, and also it was married with the AIDS epidemic, people who had the money at the top felt so guilty because of the AIDS epidemic, and if they were cishet, that they started putting white gay men in charge of things, which is wonderful. But it's not wonderful when it brought out, and I have been on the receiving end of this, so I feel okay to speak on it, when it brought out some of their most toxic traits of them getting wrapped up in the monetization of it all, but then them also having very elitist standards of what they wanted their shows to look like, right? For instance, I went back to grad school when I was 30, and the head of the opera department and his husband were in charge of all the casting. I'm a recovering opera singer, no longer in that field. But they were going to do a Benjamin Britten opera, and another colleague was like, oh, well, while Danielle is still here, you should do Rape of Lucretia. And he said, oh, well, I was identifying as female at the time. And he goes, oh, well, she would sing the shit out of it, but, and then gestured to all of me. And then had a 30-minute phone call of an apology where they said that there would never be enough money in the budget for costumes and lighting for the audience to believe that I was rapeable by the person that they wanted to cast as the baritone lead, who was like this hunky guy.
I can't... I'm processing all of this. I can only imagine how you process this in real time, but right now I'm like, oh no. Like, right. Oh and my God.
Yeah, and that's just like one of the many stories I have of being like a fat person in opera, where I was literally told to leave music theater because I was fat and go to opera because I could sing both, but that it was more inclusive, and then to literally get like fat shamed my entire career.
Oh my God.
So yeah, it's just really gross. And so like, to me, it's like a systemic, they're big system issues, but we don't have to be like judgy and shamey about them. We can literally just say, okay, where is capitalism still showing up within our company? Let's identify it and then figure out every time something comes up, like, oh, okay, we see it here. This is how we're going to rectify it. Where is patriarchy? Where is misogyny? Where are the things that are keeping us from showing up in an intentional way? Because otherwise it just looks very performative.
I'm sorry. I'm also just still
I'm sorry.
processing all of this that happened. No, you don't have to apologize. I'm thank you for sharing this. This is why we're doing this episode, because I want to hear your stories and understand exactly, like, just
because also there still isn't any sort of way to hold that accountable. I mean, there should be. There is AGMA, and which is the opera equity, and then there's equity, and like they're to me the ones that should be protecting everybody across the board, whether you belong or not. Because it's not hard to just put out like, I mean, like HR exists. Like they're the closest thing that artists have to HR, because the HR that exists within companies is just for the people, like the staff. It does not protect the people on the stage unless you become like a full company member. And even then, because you're an artist, you have your own union.
Right.
And it's not hard for these equity friends, in my opinion, to write a handbook of standards of how you can treat people, because it's in every corporate job that they shove us all in to support our theater habit.
Yeah. It also, when you said this earlier, because you just said it again, I didn't think about the fact that, like, the corporate side of this business. Because yes, it's a business. It's show business. But to think of it as a corporate entity it's shaking me a little bit. Because I was just like, ooh.
Well, it's reflected in what we're seeing. Like, that is why the lack of artistic integrity, the lack of actual representation is seen, because they just see dollar signs. Like, that is why all this stunt casting is happening, because they're also charging a gazillion dollars a ticket for people who can't actually afford it. And then the people who can afford it, they don't care to see other people that don't look like them on stage. So it's just pretty much becoming like they're turning, in my opinion, theater is headed toward what opera is already been, which is an elitist art form.
Oh, worst nightmares.
Correct.
The worst nightmares. Oh my gosh. Crazy. We'll get into this more as we go into our conversation, but right now, this is the part of the show where we would normally have an ad read, but I don't have one yet, so we're just going to sit here and look at the camera. All right, and we are back at Call Time a Theater Pod with Dani Wright, and we are talking about the dynamics in theater spaces. What have you experienced in terms of these different dynamics, and like how has that affected who you are as an artist and like who you work with? Are you a bit more picky now, I assume? If picky's the right word.
I mean, yeah, this is hard because I literally left a 30-year career
Yeah.
to protect myself. I left a career in opera. I had an opera company for 13 years that I closed because last summer, at the World Opera Forum and Opera America Conference in Los Angeles, it looked like Congress. It looked like our current administration.
Oof.
And
Wow.
it was disgusting. There was literally a panel that had not one woman on it in 2024. And so the women's subsidiary of Opera America, they did a stand-in. They like all got together before and then decided to like all stand up at one point. And the head of Opera America goes, What do you want? You want us to invite one of you up here?" And so
What?
he finally like let two of them come up and join the panel. And it's like we're still like just for a woman. You know what I mean? Like we're so far behind, you know? And then I've literally seen so many people be so scared by this administration that they have brought in, they got rid of their DEI. They've brought in people who are not even opera associates to run opera companies, and then they get rid of all of the DEI. All of the outreach, all of the important friends who are of color, and then like other people feel like they can't again speak up because they're gonna lose their job. And so it's like we're at this crucial moment in time where you have to figure out for yourself if you can protect yourself and if your ethics are worth you speaking up.
Obviously, it's a balance because there are these theaters who want to protect their reputations, but they should be holding their leaders accountable. And the steps to get there, I'm sure, are complicated enough. But what
Yeah.
what do you think is the teeniest, tiniest baby step that they could possibly grasp?
I think it would be a really amazing. I don't know if the position has been created yet. You know what I mean? To me,
Yeah.
it's like the intersectionality of a social worker and an intimacy director
Ooh, okay.
and potentially a therapist, right? But to me, like the social worker and the intimacy director, or somebody who is a social worker who also trains as an intimacy director, just because you're getting so much knowledge about what's going on in power dynamics, all of those things within intimacy direction. And then all of the background of the humanitarianism and how to actually like break down some of these systems and structures of the social work front. Right. And so to me, that would be like the perfect person to be bringing in to mediate these conversations separately, together, etc. To me, like that should be the first step is like, can you rectify this with a mediator before you even have to like make it a public canceling?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Yes.
the internal work is so far from reach because we're literally held at arm's length from these higher up positions that the power dynamic is so skewed. And then we can start like learning and deconstructing together or separately or however they consent to show up. But I don't think that we've gotten to the place, at least I haven't seen it. I would love to see this human if they exist, to be able to have that internal healing before we just go and like shout to the world that we have canceled this person.
Yes. I very much agree. I think that I'm trying to think of the right way to say this. To me, if we create such a fuss over someone, something, some situation, I don't believe that will motivate the person to want to change, because they've already done damage. If they actually are going to hold themselves accountable, it should be something that is actually dealt with in a professional manner that doesn't involve us as the watchers, because if anything, what we're looking for is a result.
Yeah.
And if we want to see that result, let the result happen.
Yeah.
You know, if you call somebody out, fine, let's do the work. If they're willing to do the work, and that's if, let them do the work. Because we got to get back to what we were here to do in the first place.
Right. Well, and too, like, the person accused is going to be in fight or flight.
Yes.
Because it became so public so quickly. And it's very hard to find any sort of reform internally if you are constantly in fight or flight.
Yes, that's also
right?
true.
And so it's like, how we're not showing up for the human, right? And that's, to me, the hardest part is, like, we are literally humans. There will be mistakes. To me, it's about how you show up and take responsibility about said mistake that shows me who you really are.
Yes, and I was saying, unless this person literally deserves jail time, you know, things can be solved. If we want to prove that we're actually here to be a team and make something happen, it's got to happen that way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you think that the industry, theater, opera, arts in general, do you think that it's really capable of this change? Do you think it'll happen until it really just hits a breaking point?
I mean, I think we're at the breaking point. I think it's here.
Good.
And it's, you know, like, period, the end. And it's not just in the arts, like, our entire country, if not world, right?
Yeah.
We're at the breaking point. This is it.
Yeah.
I have to believe that reform can happen. Otherwise, I wouldn't still be here, right? Like, I have to believe that there are people like us who exist, who can still stomach fighting constantly within that structure, but, like, showing up as themselves and changing it from within. There are so many amazing humans, and it's not just women, but, like, because patriarchy and misogyny has been in charge for so long, and these systems and structures that function and uplift those groups, to me, it has to be the ones who still want to be a part of it. It literally is for the community. It's what brings us together. It's how we see ourselves represented on stage. It's how we can, like, literally grow and evolve. We can still heal, but it means that friends have to take a very important look introspectively. House cleaning needs to be done intentionally, and it just needs a reset. You know, I mean, like, that's one of the many reasons I founded my company in the first place. I founded it right after leaving that teacher because they would only single cast every opera, even though we were at a school that mainly only had singers and Westminster Choir College. They would single cast it. So many people never got roles. My roommate in grad school did her undergrad and her grad in 6 years, not one role. Because
That's
they
wild.
said that she looked like a server at Denny's.
Oh, what the? Oh my God.
And so, like, I did 3 years. I did 3 years because I did a double master's in performance and pedagogy. And my third year, I reestablished the Grad Student Association, and I got money. And I put together this amazing team, Derek Goff, who works at the Met, and I, like, put together a scenes program of, like, 20 scenes, and we cast, like, over 40 students. The majority of them had never had one foot on the stage.
Oh my God, that's wild.
And
That's absolutely wild.
It was packed, and their teachers, every single one of them on the way out, thank you so much for creating this opportunity for them. Thank you so much. And that's literally why, like, So I founded my company because in opera, there are pay to sings where you literally have to pay to get access to a role so you can build your resume. And I was like, I'm not having this. So
Oh my God.
that was the impetus of starting my company. And then I realized like, oh, people have no experience because number one, financial access. Number two, they're not being seen because they're fat or they're black or they're Asian or they're trans or they're disabled or they have some sort of marginalized, my roommate calls it factory setting. They're not the original factory setting. And so people didn't want to deal with them. And they didn't want to take the time. But like, you're an educator. Don't become an educator if you don't have capacity to show up for the people you're educating.
Amen to that.
You don't get to go have a career and then default into academia. No, teaching is actually a gift and a skill set that people train to do. Yes. And just because you're good at this does not mean you're good at that. Actually, it usually means you're not good at that.
Oh, I've seen it too. I was raised by teachers, so I know what teachers look like. And there are plenty of people that I know in this biz who really think that they can teach because they took a class in not even education, like just any class.
I finally started getting invited into casting decisions because the other faculty demanded that I be there because I was one of the only people who would advocate for any marginalized student. And I was one of the only people who would stand up to him, which was bullshit because I was adjunct. He literally got me erased from the entire program. Once he became in charge, once he took over chair, because he hated that I was at those meetings and that I would say, what about this student? I know that you cast them their freshman year in a lead role and you all butted heads, but they were a freshman and you decided to put them in a role that you knew that they couldn't handle. And then because they didn't do a good job, you're going to write them off for the next 3 years of their education? I don't think so. Because this is how they showed up in every other show, student run or not, and evolved and grew and showed that they are invested in this. And because of your one bad experience, you're going to write off this freshman for the entire rest of their BFA. And that was one of so many conversations about as soon as one of them, and unfortunately that was perpetuated among some of the other teachers. You're the grown-ass adult. Yeah. Why aren't you showing up as a adult then, getting your ego outside and have some reflective time to say, this was a really stressful situation. Did that person show up as their best self? Did the director show up as their best self? Or were they also combative to the student because they saw something about themselves in the student that triggered them? You know what I mean? They're bringing all of their baggage to teaching, which to me is so unethical.
Very, very. That's why you write a memoir anonymously and you release it and then you burn it. Because you feel better now? Okay, now go and do your job. Woo! Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to take a bit of a break from this conversation and we're going to do everyone's favorite, the Green Room Games. Royalty-free jingle. Gotta come up with a jingle, Green Room Games. And... today, we're going to be doing a brand new game. We're going to be doing self-tape slate. Try not to laugh edition. So, obviously, as actors, we audition for things quite frequently, performers in general, but the self-tape, I don't think there was ever a time I've done so many self-tapes. And there's been some good ones. There have been some really not so good ones. But I want us to have a little fun here. And we're going to try and make each other laugh by just doing some of the most ridiculous self-tape slates we can think of, and let's see if we'd cast each other, honestly, by making each other laugh. But we're gonna try and be serious, because that's obviously what the panel is doing when they're watching all of these videos. They're trying to stay as neutral and serious as possible, right? Mm-hmm. Trying. But we're gonna see who breaks here. If you break, great. If you don't, totally fine. All right. So whenever you're ready, Dani, I will.
Sup, brah. My name is Darnell, and I'm here to audition for Othello, and I'm gonna sing "When You're Good to Mama" from Chicago. Are you ready?
Mm-hmm. Hi, my name is Marisa Helene, and I'm your Miss New Jersey. Oh wait, wrong tape. Hold on. Which audition is this for again? This is for Merchant of Venice. Or is it Versace? Man, I really wish I learned how to read. Anyway, so for you today, I will be singing the ABCs. Z, Y, X, W.
That one was very hard. Hello? 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 Hi. I heard you were doing holding auditions. My mom says I'm really good at singing. She bought me this mic so that way I could use it to film this self-tape audition. So there's some stuff that I'm supposed to sing for you. Hold on, let me look at the paper because they printed it out for me so that way I could stay focused and not be looking up the email during when I recorded. I will now do the reading that you provided.
I was waiting for the reading. I wanted to know what the reading was. That was absolutely my favorite thing ever to happen, ever, in my whole life.
You're welcome.
So I need y'all to understand that with the way I have my setup right now, when you're whispering, it is very loud in my headphones. And I was like, oh my god, Dani's inside my head. The calls are coming from inside the house.
I'm in the computer. That's my favorite Zoolander quote.
I'm in the computer.
In the computer. I date myself all the time because I reference that and the children are like, what?
Oh my god.
What?
And then that's when you respond with, but why male models? Really? I just said why.
Oh. The center has to be at least three times the size. Yep.
Okay, so I want everyone in the comments to say whether or not we should just do a live reading of Zoolander on this pod, because next season, who knows, maybe that'll be something that we do. Readings.
That would be amazing.
And so I want to hand this over to you, the audience, right now for a little talk back time where I post a question on our social media pages like our Instagram, our TikTok, our Facebook, all of which you can find in the link in the description box below. I mean, if you just look up Call Time a Theater Pod, you'll find us everywhere, and you'll find the question there. The question I posed is, What red flags do you notice when power is being misused in theater leadership? And I just want to say, this was the largest response of people I have gotten on a Talkback Time, so I would love to thank all of you for participating and sharing your stories and putting yourself out there for me to read and for us to talk about. I really, really appreciate it. And if you didn't get a chance to answer this Talkback Time, don't worry about it. You can participate in the next one, but you can also just put your thoughts in the comments. Your perspective matters.
Yep.
I mean it. So the first response I have here is it's from our friend Sam. When the owner/creator of the company is also the producer, the director, the writer, and the lead actor in every project they do, double so if they tend to cast people that they are attracted to opposite them in romantic roles. I mean, all of that just immediately gave me shivers because I definitely have known people in the communities that I've worked in who had that, and it just makes me go, ew.
Yeah, it's really gross. I had to also figure out how to learn as somebody who made a company who also loved performing. I had to figure out okay, I'm directing and producing and I want to be in this. I had to make sure, okay, let me get another director to do the scenes that I'm in. Let me figure out we always, because it was opera, there was always another partner, a musical director who to me had as much power as me. But I had to really learn as it was brought to my attention, ethically, this isn't okay to do anymore. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. But never was I casting because I wanted to date somebody. It was no. I want to sing Paula Deen because I am the only person who is funny enough to be Paula Deen in this 15-minute long opera.
Right.
No. This is my show. And so I would get another director, obviously. But it's not, I wasn't casting the people in it because I wanted to hook up with them. No. I just think that's so gross.
Our next response here is from Beth, who says, when you are told as a stage manager that it's not your job to support the actors if they are upset about how a director speaks to them, that's a big warning for me. Absolutely. I mean, we were talking about this earlier about people who are, able to speak and protect your performers, and there aren't a lot of people that do that. And when the stage manager of all people who technically has that position is being told not to do that, huge red flag.
The biggest of red flags. And to me, that means that there's also not an intimacy director in the room. Because to me, intimacy directors are the HR of the rehearsal room. It's not in the stage manager's contract for them to be that to the cast, but if they see harm happening, they are the ones who have the responsibility, in my opinion, to intervene on the behalf to protect the artist from the production team.
Truly. Shout out. Thank you for those that do. Thank you.
Oh my gosh.
Truly.
I know so many incredible stage managers, and I'm so grateful for them.
I was raised by one. Thank you. I think a common theme here with a lot of our responses is this should be common sense.
Yes.
And the fact that a lot of it isn't apparently is troubling.
Yeah, I mean, it's a reflection of the ethics of our country, in my opinion.
Oh, beyond. Beyond. Our next person is Reese, who said, I noticed a constant emphasis on recognizing how, quote, lucky we are to be in the position we're in, to be in a show, or to receive certain education. Yes, gratitude and privilege should be recognized, but can be an early sign of using that position to try and abuse certain practices in theater. 100%. 100%. 100,000%. I mean, if I had a nickel for every time I was told I was lucky to do anything in this industry, I would no longer have student debt. I would be able to buy myself many nice dinners. I would be able to, go to the theater. So
I mean, it's a form of gaslighting from narcissists who are gatekeeping. I mean, at the end of the day, they want you to feel like they are granting you this gift so that way you keep accepting scraps.
Yeah. Like it's gaslighting, it's hazing. It's hazing in an industry that really shouldn't have hazing.
Yeah.
As someone who went through a hazing period, like you know, no,
No,
no.
I have no time for bullies. I'm done.
Our next one is from Lydia, who said, disregarding an actor's comfort with physical contact, intimacy, or emotional labor, often brushing off their concerns with phrases like, just commit, or it's what the role demands. Yeah, okay. I have a lot of feelings about this one. I have a lot of feelings about this one. I have seen and been a part of so many uncomfortable situations. And I will also admit, I was on the other side of it once, and I learned a very big lesson. And I don't have many regrets in this life, but I have since talked to the actor that I told to just deal with it and commit to it. Since then, we're okay. We have an understanding. I believe me, the apology was beyond anything I could ever do. But it's just, if you see that someone is uncomfortable, why do you expect them to give you a good performance?
Yeah.
How do you think they're going to be able to give you a good performance?
Yeah.
I just,
Well, I mean, like, it's like several things of boundaries, but to me, like, that can also be so circumvented if you put it, if you have a good casting call, right? Like, if this is a demand from the production team for someone to consent to be okay with that, then that needs to be part of the transparency in what they're auditioning for. So that way the artist can self-select if they are comfortable with that before even submitting.
yeah, yes. Yes, because communication.
What a novel idea.
I hope listen, it's a newfangled concept. Maybe it'll catch on. Maybe.
Fingies crossed.
Oh,
Fingies crossed.
fingies, toes, eyes, legs, and the letter T. Our last one, I think, is one that a lot of people can relate to. This is also from someone who wishes to remain anonymous. They said, casting the same 5 people in every show. Well, okay. I have this whole thing where if you're going to cast the same people, do not call yourself a theater company. You are now a theater troupe. And that is fine.
Yeah.
But if you are going to put out a casting call for roles only to just call in your friends and the people that you consistently have,
Yeah.
that's where I have the issue. It is totally okay to not have roles available. It is okay for you to say that these roles are not available. We're looking for understudies. We're looking for alternates. We're looking for people to join our team in general. That is okay.
Yeah.
Don't be shy.
Yeah. I did that
You know?
several times with Moto.
Yeah.
Like, there were several people that were local that were just incredible.
Yeah.
And they still had to audition sometimes, and sometimes we picked shows for them. Like, that was the part of like investing in the company as a whole, right? Like, they were showing up and showing out, and they proved that we wanted to pick shows specifically for them. But we would also often double cast, right? We would say one of this character is already cast, or this character is not available, but the cover is, or the understudy.
Right.
These are the roles we are auditioning for.
And again, it's communication.
Yeah.
You know, and if you just end up like lying, you're going to get caught in that lie, and then it's going to
Correct.
create an uproar, and then people don't want to work with you. And that's just messy. But I want to thank everybody for their thoughts, their stories. Annie, I can't believe I'm about to say this. It feels like we've been here forever, but we are coming to the end of our time here on Call Time at Theater Pod. So I want to hand this over to you and give you a moment to, where can people find you? What are you up to? And what do you have to say for yourself?
Please be kind to trans non-binary friends. We're actually pretty lovely, and I think we're the change that the world needs to be able to embrace things that aren't binary and aren't the default setting. You can find me on Insta and TikTok. I love drag, and I love my drag king, Juicy Bierling, and so please support local drag, and it's not predatory, it's very awesome, and it's how your children can see themselves reflected in something that maybe they're not growing up around. So access is important.
Fantastic. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Well, Dani, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. What a great time.
Thank you. It was an absolute blast having you here, and I look forward to us having more conversations outside of here, as well as just continuing putting everything out there and encouraging other people to share their experiences just as you have, because we gotta be the change. We really, like, as cheesy as that sounds, we really have to be the change in order to make things happen.
Amen.
Well, everybody, thank you so much for tuning into Call Time a Theater Pod. It has been an excellent, wild ride. My name is Marisa Helene Mast. You are the audience. Bye-bye now.
Bye.